Hello you, welcome to Geekism and welcome to Tiny Glade. This is the full release of the game. We're going to be diving in, taking a look at all the new features. If you're watching this at time recording, the game comes out in a few days. On the 23rd of September, you'll be able to pick this up from Steam. Thank you very much to the developers for letting me take an early look and sharing it with you all. There are a few different types we can choose from for our sort of palette. Summer is, I believe, the one that we've already played with in the demo. Autumn looks beautiful. There's also an Olden, which I really quite like the look of, a little bit more spooky. So witchy vibes. There's Flowery, which is also gorgeous, and there's a winter one. They're also gorgeous. I'm going to try Autumn this time. It does start us off with a slight build, but we are going to start from scratch. So luckily we can eraser here and clear it all out. You'll see we now have a much larger space to play with, which is very exciting. And as well as all the original features of being able to place down buildings, we do have some new ones in the full release, including fences, lots more window options, including these awesome castle windows. And as always, the more you add to them, the bigger they get. We also have flags now. You can place them down individually, and if they're close enough, they will create awesome bunting, which is very exciting. They'll also be able to place on walls as well. And there's lots more recoloring options as well. We can add these beautiful chimneys in here on the side. I think we're going to have a lot of fun making something very cute with this. And we're going to do that in a time lapse. So we're going to start off by doing a little bit of light terrain work. The terrain is really quite fun to play with in this. You sort of draw out a cookie there, a cookie cutter sort of shape, and then you can pick that up or down and it will move past other shapes you've made. It's neat. It's a really neat system, and you get these really nice little cliffs and you can bring them down. You don't necessarily are able to make nice hills with them. You do always have those sort of stony cliff faces, and I quite like it. I think it looks pretty cute. You'll see here that the light cycle, the day-night cycle, runs through as we're playing as well. I think you can turn that off, but personally I like it, and the game looks just as good in the daytime as it does in the nighttime. And obviously at the nighttime all of the lights turn on and you just get a very different vibe, and I think it's quite nice to be able to see both. You'll see here we start to put down a little bit of lighting there, and it just gives a really nice little glow, and it's very, very sweet. So what I'm building then, I'm trying to do just a sort of classic medieval village, the sort of thing perhaps your Dungeons & Dragons party might come across in between big adventures. And I think one thing that this game could actually even be used for, it has a really fantastic photo mode, and you could actually use this to sort of lay out little villages and use them as maps for D&D. And that's probably quite a specific use case, but I think it would work really quite well for that kind of thing. And no little village in D&D is complete without the tavern, and that's the first building we're building here. The game just continues to impress me. You see there, look, we've lifted that building up and it's got little wooden structures underneath. Like, I didn't know it was going to do that. I wasn't actually planning to have that building as a lifted up structure, but it did that and I wanted to keep it. And there's a quote that I think is attributed to Michelangelo, who, when talking about the statue of David, I think said that the statue was just in the rock. I just had to carve the rock away to find it. No, I am not. I'm not for a second comparing myself by playing this video game, but that's kind of how this game feels. It isn't. It's partly that I'm making the game do what I wanted to do, and I every now and again I'll do something. I'm like, yep, that's exactly how I expected this to turn out. But every now and again the game will be like, boop, here's a cute little thing. Look, you haven't seen this yet, have you? And it fills me with joy. It really does. I keep saying game. I'll say again that I think this is more of a toy, really. There is no end goal other than to enjoy your time with the game. And that, to me, is the definition of a toy rather than a game, if that makes sense. Here I'm just able to build something, and the journey is the goal as opposed to the destination. It's very fun and very satisfying to build these beautiful little vignettes and just to discover some of the tools it has. Here you can see that the fence, when it gets near a path, will generate a gate, and so I tried to use that to my advantage and create a gate into the flower beds here. If you place down flowers, you get these beautiful sort of heather-looking flowers, but then if you go back over them and place them again, you'll start to get bushes. None of this is explained anywhere. There's a very light tutorial that just kind of shows you the camera movements, but otherwise, the game itself, it's all about discovery, and it's all about figuring out what you're able to do and whether or not you can do it. Here, you'll see that cornice is generated because that building is placed on top. Again, it was a happy accident. I decided to try and put a building on top and have that sort of slightly tiered medieval, well, it's more Tudor, I suppose, really, that sort of tiered second roof where it's a little overhang and it's generated out of sort of plaster and wood, whereas the ground floor would have been more stone. And I did it, and the game was like, yeah, that looks cool, let's make it look right. And I do something similar here with a tower, placing one tower over the other and keeping the tower, the larger tower's stone pillars there, sort of generates just a real nice look on the lower tower there. Place two windows together. If you click a window multiple times, it'll go through a few different options. One of them is like a little flower bed. One of them is a piece of clothing hanging out to dry. If you place two with the clothing on next to each other, you'll get that row of clothes that you can see there between those two being hung out to dry. I'm not placing those down. I'm not clicking those as an option. It's just organically generating them through how I discover the game, and I think it's absolutely adorable. If there's one thing I would like to see in the game, it is perhaps a handful of placeable pieces. As much as it is glorious to place down a door and the game decides for there to be a barrel of apples or a shovel next to this door, and I'm very happy to have it do all that sort of thing. Here, look, the balcony just creates itself from a tower. It's fantastic. As much as I adore all of that sort of stuff, I would like to also be able to place down a few key things to suggest what the building is, perhaps. I'm thinking things like a bench or perhaps an anvil that I could place down to show that this building is a blacksmith. Maybe I've just got that D&D idea in my head too much, but it'd be nice to... Obviously, you can try and make buildings here. I've made one that I feel like represents a tavern. I made another one that represents more of like a manor or a stately home. And here I'm making one that sort of sits alongside the river and would be perhaps like a fisherman's hut or something. So that's really fun to generate, but it'd be really nice to have a couple of key pieces. It'd be nice if I could maybe place a little boat down, or maybe a little cart. But if I try and place the cart on the water, it becomes a boat. So just a few options like that. To really sort of set the look of the different buildings would be the only thing I really think this beautiful little toy needs to have a lot of fun with it. I'm just keeping this one a short one today because honestly, I really kind of want you folks to go and play it and discover it yourself. And please, if you aren't already, join our Discord and share some over there. And if you'd like to see more of this kind of stuff, please subscribe. I may do a part 2 where I do the other half of this build. And if you enjoyed this one, I think you might like Foundation, a similar sort of medieval builder where you can build the pieces together, but obviously that has a bit more of a game mechanic attached to it as well, but you can still create a lot of really beautiful looking buildings. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next one, be good.